And we're back live. There's Linda and there's Lola back again. And it is my great pleasure to invite my dear friends, JoAnne Akalaitis and Clove Brewer, onto the screen. Pop yourselves on. We're waiting for you.
Oh,
There's
Clove.
There's
Hey,
JoAnne.
JoAnne. What? Hello.
Hello, Clove. We just lost JoAnne. JoAnne, come back.
JoAnne.
Oh, okay.
There you are.
Here we are.
Weren't those, JoAnne, Clove, just for a second, I wanted to speak to JoAnne about those fantastic pictures of the screens, which people weren't aware they were seeing because of the soundtrack, and all those Arabian Nights costumes and cast, and my great gold gown that made me look like a French pastry. It was enormously moving to me, and I am so happy to have been included in that cast. It was a rough road. We were there rehearsing for 3 months for a 2-week performance run. And one of the, going back to being influenced by directors, I once, when I was fighting manfully to try to crack the character I was playing, who was Varda, or was it Warda?
Yeah.
The head of the madam in the brothel, and I ran up to you, sort of whining. I needed direction. And I do that kind of thing. And you looked at me hard and said, well, "What's the matter with you, Lola? Just think about Barbara Stanwyck."
I don't remember. I have no idea what it could have meant.
And that was your direction. You went on your way because you were too busy to say anything else. And
so Lola, did Barbara Stanwyck make sense to you? Was that useful?
Yes, absolute sense.
You hit it right on the head, actually.
She hit it right on the head.
JoAnne,
that
was
3 times.
And from then on,
yeah.
I kept my mouth shut also.
That's because JoAnne is a brilliant director.
Yes.
That's what we have to say.
She's a great director, as you are, and in such different ways.
Really different, but
yes,
gorgeous.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, Anne, too, while I have the chance, the first piece I ever saw of yours was your Making of Americans, speaking of the Stein. So that kind of set it in stone. That it was a foregone, obviously, it was a foregone act of fate. So yeah.
Gertrude Stein.
Gertrude Stein.
Now, I'm going to actually shoot over to Clove for a moment before we get to JoAnne, because I want to follow up on that, because I'm so intrigued by the fact that, was it true you were 4 years old when you were taken to see Bluebeard? Is that true?
Yeah. That's like, it wasn't my very first memory of theater. My first memory of theater was the Red Horse animation and helping Ruth and JoAnne paint their feet red. But I think it might have been my second memory of theater. But
what do you remember?
Oh, I remember the scene that they showed. Never forget that scene. That was hilarious, and I giggled and giggled and giggled. I was sitting on the bar at the very back of I don't know where we were. Maybe we were.
You were at Christopher's End.
Oh,
it was a big gay bar at the end of Christopher Street.
Yeah. And so I remember I was like perched up on, I guess, on the bar at the back. And there was a whole discussion, Ruth and Lee convincing the bartenders and the bouncers to let me in. And it was a whole thing. And Lee was like, she has to see this. So I did, and I remember also Black Eyed Susan, the image of her when she comes out, sort of Bride of Frankenstein style, and she's naked and she has glitter all over her body and these amazing platform shoes.
Yes.
I will never forget. Never forget. The shoes were
You've got
probably
a good
the smallest.
memory for a 4-year-old. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
really.
Yeah, yeah. I have a lot of incredibly clear memories of theater. And when I dream now, like if Ruth comes into my dreams, we're always at the theater. We always meet in a theater.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I dreamt about Ruth the night before last night, and it was I just have to say it. So,
Yeah.
and also, and it's so boring when people share their dreams. I know.
No,
but
it's
it
not.
was one of those classic dreams where you're on stage and you can't remember one line.
Oh, of course.
One fucking line.
Oh yeah.
And I still have acting dreams. And
Mhm.
I've been an actor for 50 years.
That's
And
right.
Ruth was the director.
Oh,
And she was, and this was big. It was some big opera house in Europe. Not one word, not anything. And I said what Paul Lazar said when I directed the Fornes thing this a year ago.
Right.
The opening night, he said, "What's my first fucking line?" And that's what I said in the dream. What's my first fucking line? Hoping the rest would come back, and it didn't. It was
God.
I have to say, JoAnne, also, speaking of that Fornes play / opera, I think I saw it just before the pandemic shut everything down.
Yes.
It was,
Yes, so did we.
So did we. Yeah.
Yes.
I think it was the last thing that I saw in the theater.
One of the last. Yeah.
many people, it was the last live show they saw.
Yes.
It was March 7th,
Gee.
it closed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah,
It
it's
was,
amazing.
It was
a lot.
gorgeous. So gorgeous.
It was really.
You know, I was
like
thinking about the two of you, Lola and Linda, today, and I was remembering that, you know, you were talking about family earlier and how it's a family, and you guys came to see me perform in high school. At my high school, I did some sort of, I was trying to sing an aria, and Lola, you had told me that you loved opera. And so I invited you. And of course, you guys were there. You were on time. You had flowers. You were, you know, Ruth and Lee came like toward the end. They missed the thing. You know, it was absolutely hilarious. I just have this really vivid memory of looking out in the audience and seeing the two of you and being like, yes, my mothers are here. You know, I'm okay. I'll be okay. So.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh God.
Yeah, I remember you telling me, Lola, that you used to sing to the broom, and you're, you know, like it was.
What?
To the broom.
What do you mean, sing to the broom?
Oh, yes.
She would.
Punch and Judy.
Oh, yes, that's what that was. Okay.
Yes. It
Yeah.
was in
Yeah.
Punch and Judy.
That picture that they
Yes.
showed. Yeah.
JoAnne, what impressions have you brought with you today about Lola and Linda? Anything you want to share with us?
You know, people have said such profound things that I have nothing profound to say. I wrote down 10 things, and I'm not going to say all the 10 things. One of them is with you, Anne, swimming in the Connecticut River. And one is, Linda, one of the best swims I have ever had in my life was the swim we took in the Dartmouth residency. Do you remember?
Yes.
There, I can't remember what fucking, I went online to find the river. I have never had it. You know, there are swims and there are swims.
Yeah, I remember. I
It's the
think we.
Connecticut River.
Well, there is the Connecticut River, and that's where the
Anne
canoe
and I
is.
were swimming in
But there's also
the murky Connecticut. This was
no. This was the White River. I know the place.
oh
It was
my
a place where we crawled down the hill, and there were some big rocks in the middle. Rocks and rocks and yeah, that was a beautiful swimming hole. We found that. Chris Grabowski found that swimming hole, and we went there a few times.
And
Yeah.
that was
Yeah. that was really wonderful.
Other things involve food, all my, brunches and things like that. But remember that I complained that the food was so horrible at the residency that I volunteered to cook for all.
Yes, I do. That was very.
And we all went to the
all
farmers market with you.
And we went to the Vermont, whatever that cute farmers market, just New England, different from New York, where everyone is like pushing one another out of the way to get a green pepper. And,
very polite.
And I cooked my ass off.
Yes.
And you guys helped.
And
it was the one thing I remember that was very, very special was a black bean, fresh corn, cilantro, tomato, roasted pepper salad.
Yes.
Oh,
that's wonderful.
I remember it too, now that you speak of it.
And I remember having, because you gave me very specific direction, JoAnne, about there was something with little baby potatoes and they all had to be the same size.
Yes.
That same meal. It was that same meal.
All you people watching out there who are interested in art, if you buy potatoes, buy them, whether big or small, but especially small, the same size.
Yes.
Then you're going to dump them in water, and then you're going to have to, some will cook faster, but the smaller, the better. If you have learned one thing, it's about potatoes.
And that was a lesson.
And that will last you.
It is.
Like in theater, you're eating a potato, right?
I hold it with you. I hold that lesson. And obviously very memorable.
But I do have to ask a question about art. How'd you guys come up with that? The adorable. Was that the tango you were doing?
Yes.
Our version of the tango. We actually, we took tango lessons, but we had limited ability in tangoing, but we managed to get a couple gestures.
Yeah.
Wait, can you contextualize that? The tango.
I mean, there you are, director. There you are, actors. That was like the highlight of that piece. That was thermonuclear. That was great.
I think maybe it was based on we used some background music of Virgil Thompson's because, well, we'll talk about that going forward because Virgil and Gertrude did 4 Saints and 3 Acts, and we were actually making a piece with George Osterman with Lola and George as Virgil and Gertrude. And I think we might have had the Virgil tango, and I think we might have gone from the music to try to. Also, there was a dancer. There was a Spanish dancer who they loved. Gertrude and Alice loved on their honeymoon. La Argentina was her name, and she was very famous.
Legendary.
And I think the tango somehow came out of that as a reference somehow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, but also it's a play. You got to have a dance, right? So what's the dance?
Absolutely.
What dance would they do? Right, JoAnne, you know that as well as anybody.
I do. But what it did was it took a form and a format, like a template, and then it put in that template 2 people who had a complicated, loving, genius. I think I feel very judgmental about their relationship. I mean, I wouldn't put up with either of them, frankly.
Agreed. They're totally obnoxious. Totally obnoxious.
I mean, the level of narcissism, in that you could just drown yourself. But it took the sweetness of that you had to dig.
Yeah.
And you did dig and you found it. And it's because you 2 are sweet. And it put it in a form, as Anne says, you have to have a dance, and put it in a formal thing. And the tango has all kinds of cultural references that we all, it's part of the cultural ethos for anyone. And it was a very smart idea, and it worked just great.
Thank you.
It was
Yes,
a
very
Bill
good.
11 o'clock number.
Right, exactly.
Right.
That's right. That's
And there was a,
I do have a funny story to tell. I guess
Oh,
supposed to tell a funny
Please.
story, and it's
Please.
about Lola.
Good.
We went on a tour of the photographer.
yes,
Somehow we were performing in Madison,
yes,
in the biggest theater in the city, in the Midwest. There, fabulous theater, and we were staying in a nice hotel, and there was a snowstorm,
yeah,
and you came down to the lobby
yeah.
demanding another room. That your room you didn't feel was satisfactory. And they called me. The woman called me, and I was like so happy in my pajamas reading a book. So I came down, and you explained, I'm very fussy about my room. And she was trying to explain that they're all great rooms. They're
Yes,
all great rooms. They really are all, and they're all the same.
yes.
And I said, I think I said, Lola, you want to go out in the snow? Do you remember this? And look yourself for a room in Madison, or you want to stay here? And of course, you stayed.
And with
You stayed.
Lola.
You stayed.
Yes, I did. Oh, well, that's wonderful.
That was
I can't remember what I can't remember that moment, but I'm not surprised about it. Not too much.
well, you said this is what I'm like. I'm always a troublemaker in situations like this.
Yes,
It's no surprise, JoAnne, and it's no surprise whatsoever that she would be the one who wants a different room.
yes,
I remember directing
that.
Lola in The Women, and towards the end of the play, all 20 women wearing fabulous dinner gowns, I asked them to line up across the stage, and I kept seeing Lola sort of floating across the stage towards center. And so she kept floating, she was over stage left, and she kept floating right to get to center. I finally said, "What are you doing, Lola?" And she said, "I'm trying to get center."
You're taking a picture, right?
She knew where to be. Hey, JoAnne, before I ask, if I go back and ask Clove if she has anything else to add, I'm just so curious about this list of 10 things. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us? And while she's thinking, Clove.
Oh, yes, I
Yes.
will. And this is a little known thing. In 1987, I saw the Carrie Perloff's production of Ezra Pound's Electra. And it is the most radical, brilliant, no matter what we think of Ezra Pound, he was crazy. He's great. Everyone out there, he was crazy. Okay. I don't know how many people know it. I've been dying to do it for years. And Joe Morton played Orestes. Pamela Reed played Electra. Nancy Marchand played, what's her name?
Yes.
What's the person?
Clytemnestra.
And the chorus was Lola and Izzy Monk.
yes.
Oh my God. And what they talk about scene stealing. It was the way it was staged is they sat in those chairs that you buy from Walmart.
Yeah.
The plastic garden chairs, as two kind of yentas reading Greek tabloids.
That's right. That's right.
That was a
Brilliant.
Yeah.
It was great. That was a great performance.
Did you see it, Linda?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we were together. Yeah, we were together even before that. So, oh yeah, I think I saw pretty much everything Lola did since we met.
Yes.
Yeah, Yeah. Oh, it was wonderful.
And also, I want to, aside from the obvious, like the ridiculous theater and your great work in the screens and the greatest entrance in the history of theater, wearing the greatest costume, coming out of a trap with beautiful Philip glass.
Oh,
my God.
And Philip still performs that music.
It's a beautiful piece.
And like to 10, and then an Arab crawls out from under the dress. The Arab being Joe Hodge. His first professional job, who is now the artistic director of the Guthrie Theater. He wears a suit and he uses words like intersectionality. He's a different guy. He's not the Joe that we know.
That's where he got the idea for intersectionality.
Well, I feel I got the idea because he said there must be an Arab actor in the United States who could be in this. Actually, at that time there weren't.
Not too many. No.
And what I started to say is, Lola, I loved your work in Richard's work. Richard's.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Richard Foreman's work you're talking about.
Yeah.
You got his formality. And the final thing I want to say is that both of you, Lola and Linda, in my list of the first thing on my list of 10 is you're part of the scene, the downtown scene. From the 70s on.
Yeah.
So I'd see you around. And the dear old PS 122.
Oh yeah.
Dear old, the toilet, the whole thing, the dear old PS 122. Now the new PS 122 is like the hospital for special surgery.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
And I've been there quite a bit.
Well, you know what I mean.
It does feel that it's very institutionalized.
Yeah, it's tough.
I know.
It's tough. So it's like whether you're watching a rehearsal or you see you in Phoebe's, or you're hanging, you're in the audience, you're in the rehearsal, you're in the show, you're working for the show.
Yep.
It's nice.
It's our big family. It's this big extended family. I feel the same way, JoAnne. As I was saying to you, I think when we were preparing for this, that you have been significant in my life personally as an artistic model, as an example from the very beginning. You and Ruth said yes to me, as Gertrude would say. You were sort of the first real artists who said yes. What you're looking for seems important. Come, see if you can find it here. What that meant to a young person who didn't know what in the hell she was going to do, that it's never left me, obviously. And that's one of the beautiful things about looking back and at this time. And here you, like you say, I don't think we've missed a show of yours. I think very rarely do we miss something that you've done. And it's always a surprise. There's always something new.
But Linda, the confidence that was instilled in you by JoAnne and Ruth, you've extended to so many people through your work with New York Theater Workshop, but you've really been there for so many and given that in spades over again. So
thank you.
Before we go on to the next section, I just want to ask Clove if you have any, because we're going to be moving on to Gertrude Nellis and Melanie Josephs, the producer, Gertrude Nellis. But Clove, you want to send us out in some way?
Yeah, sure. I just wanted to, we were talking yesterday on our tech rehearsal, and I talked a little bit about seeing George and Lola do Virgil and Gertrude, and also running into George outside the Ridiculous and him telling me that I was no good, and he wrote a play, No Damn Good, and because I'm the bad seed. And so it was a lot of fun getting to work with Linda on that. And I didn't get to do the final production, but got to do the reading. And I guess the two of you have been, for me, a huge part of my, when I was a young woman and at school and performing in Lear with Lola. Actually, I was in 2 productions with you, Lola, because I was also in The Tempest.
Yes.
What you do, Trinculo, right? That was amazing. But that was a time when I was coming out and sort of finding my feminist voice, and the two of you were a huge part of helping me find that, and then continue to, as Anne just said, support. You've come to see all of Jenny and my work. You came to see Wickets, our adaptation of Irene Fornes's Fefu and Her Friends, in the airplane, and that particular night happened to be the night that we filmed, so we have the two of you laughing. And you can't mistake Lola's laugh. So yeah, I'm just incredibly grateful to have known you and have grown up in this world, and as JoAnne said, downtown. So
yeah.
That's all.
Thank you, Clove and JoAnne. And I hope if there is this space for Q&A at the end that you'll come back and join us for that. So thank you.
Supposed to go away.
Yeah.
I have an anecdote. I'm burning to tell. I know it takes a little more time.
Go ahead.
For JoAnne, my experience with JoAnne in The Photographer. And we were at BAM. It was opening night. And it was the second, what did they call it? The second
Press preview?
No, the second
Preview.
No, it was the second that BAM did of the new work.
Oh, that Next Wave.
Next Wave.
Next Wave.
It was the second Next
Wave.
Yes.
It was the first Next Wave.
It was the first Next Wave.
That's what I thought. We had an argument about it. Yeah.
Never mind.
First.
Anyway, most of the cast was in the same dressing room, a huge, long dressing room. And you just before the play began, you opened the door, and you said, there are 54 theater critics out there from around the world, and Joe Papp. Have fun, kids.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I beg your pardon. I know now you hate my guts, but you'll get over it. It's all right. And now, good night.
I'm glad you told that story. And JoAnne, part of what a director does is puts the pressure on. So you did it. If you don't even remember it, you were just putting the pressure on. All right, Pierce, we're moving on, and I hope to see you again, JoAnne and Clove, at the end of
Wait, she can take me.
What? We're in Zoom world. We're going to pop on and off. So Pierce, take us away.
Hi, this is Morgan Janess, professional opinion mongerer. Gertrude Stein once said, silent gratitude isn't much use to anyone. So I'm so happy this event is happening, as there has been so much gratitude for Linda and Lola for so many things, for so many years, for so many people that needs to be voiced. And I'm honored to be able to add a few words. I myself have so many memories, from climbing up the stairs to the office at the Performing Garage to be so graciously met by Linda Chapman, through witnessing so many manifestations of her generous, thoughtful, grounding presence for other artists in her 25 years at New York Theater Workshop. From having the utter delight of seeing so many of Lola's delicious performances, from Charles Ludlam Productions to Genet's The Screens at the Guthrie Theater, which I flew out to see, where she was amazing in the best skirt ever. Perhaps my favorite memory will always be Lola and Linda together as Gertrude and Alice. A perfect incarnation of another quintessential couple, and of themselves, separately and with each other. Capturing the essence of another Stein quote, someone who was living was almost always listening. Someone who was loving was almost always listening. And to paraphrase Alice, they are sauce good for the goose, the gander, the chicken, the duck, the turkey, and the guinea hen. Thank you, Linda and Lola. for all of it.
Lola introduced Linda to her ridiculous colleague, playwright, performer George Osterman. The three performed together with Brockmeyer in a program titled Hold Your Man, including the one-act, a matched set, at Limbo Theater in 1985. No Damn Good, Osterman's parody of The Bad Seed, was presented in 1987 at Home for Contemporary Theater and Art, predecessor of Here. In 1988, La Mama hosted Osterman and Tom Judson's musical about the sinking of the Titanic, Don't Remind Me, all directed by Linda.
Linda's collaboration with playwright Kate Moira Ryan began at the end of the 1980s, and Russophile Ryan wrote a hysterical sketch for George and Lola, who played Rasputin on one roller skate.
Footnote: Lola's ridiculous colleagues Charles Ludlam died in 1987. Bill Vare died in 1988. Ethel Eichelberger died in 1990. John Brockmeyer died in 1990. All casualties of HIV/AIDS.
The George and Lola show, Hot and Cold Showers, was presented at The Club in 1992. One of the sketches from the cabaret, a series of actual letters between Gertrude Stein and Virgil Thompson, became Gertrude and Virgil Let's Keep It Cubist, a play for George and Lola about the making of Stein and Thompson's Four Saints in 3 Acts, directed by Linda.
The play had a work-in-progress showing at the Vineyard Theatre in 1994, but Osterman's untimely death in 1995 from HIV/AIDS led to shelving the project, since the material was very personal to George and Lola's personas.
something down. Put something down someday. Put something down someday put something down someday in my hand, right, in my handwriting. Put something down someday in my handwriting.
A play. There is no in-between in a play. A play could just as well only mean two.
Then it could do. It could really have to do.
And so here we are with Gertrude and Alice, Likeness for Loving. And let's bring back Linda and Lola. And I'd like to introduce you, for anybody who hasn't met her already, with Melanie Joseph, who was our fantastic producer. So Melanie's going to join us.
There's Mel.
There she is.
Hey,
Welcome, Melanie.
Oh, Melanie. Yeah, well, we started developing Gertrude and Alice on our own, of course, and we kind of worked through it. We were at the point where we cannot do this by ourselves any longer. And I think we made a special reading. We used the rehearsal studio upstairs at NYTW and invited Melanie to come in. And of course, Melanie and I go back. Well, we were trying to figure out to where we went back, but we'll catch up with that in a minute. Anyway, you said yes to us. You're another one who said yes to us. You came, we read for you. And
yes,
you said
is my
yes.
favorite word.
You said yes.
Yes, is my favorite word.
Mine too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I felt that I could relax. We could both relax, that we were in somebody's hands, loving hands, and that we didn't have to take care of everything anymore. We had somebody who was willing to share our burdens. And you raised money, whatever you did as a producer, you did, and beautifully.
Well, you know, I have to say, honey, it wasn't a burden. I mean, I didn't really feel much of a burden for any of the shows that we did. It was always like, oh my God, how are we going to do this? Yeah. Like I mean, I'm not going to romanticize and say I liked fundraising. I freaking hated it, but I was good at it, so I didn't mind. But one of the things, Linda, I don't know if you remember this, but I had the Foundry's first two show. Well, the Foundry's first show was an existing piece. The second show we made, they were both David Hancock plays.
Yep.
And that's when I realized that I only really wanted to do work from scratch, that I didn't want to do existing work.
That's right.
And so at the time that you came to me, both Carl Hancock Rux and Rindy was commissioned to make Whales.
Yep.
And Carl was commissioned to make Talk.
Yep.
And Alice Twan to make Roaring Girl. And it was always for me a matter of who was going to finish first would be my next production.
Right.
Right. But what happened was you were so damn smart because you said to me, I know you're only trying to do commissioned work, but I just wonder if everything's, if you might have a slot because something isn't ready. And baby, it was the beginning of my understanding what I had gotten myself into because I never knew when anything was going to be ready or what we were going to do next or how. And so you saved my butt. And the next year was Rindy's Whales, right? But it was supposed to be, I think, that year. Anyway, whatever. You saved my bacon.
Could we just take a moment here and put ourselves, all of us on all the various platforms that are watching this, in Melanie's shoes? She was invited to hear a reading, not a staging, but a reading. And could we, through your eyes, listen to a short reading as if that we were listening to it for the first time, and we're as Melanie Joseph sitting upstairs at NYTW. And I wonder, Linda and Lola, if you would give us a little reading that might have given Melanie the idea that, yeah, we could do this.
Yay.
We were not as rusty then. We were on our game. It's been a little while, but we did get out the script. We're going to look at a little scene, which is the beginning of their marriage, really. It's called Rue de Fleurus. And I don't think it needs more setup than that. Lola?
Yes.
Take it away.
It happened very simply that they were married. They were naturally married. And really, The place to see it was in the inflection everyone had of not frightening, not the least bit frightening, enthusiasm. She was brought up by her mother. She had meaning and she was careful in reading. She read marvelously. She was pleased. She was flavored by reason of much memory and recollection.
They had likeness.
Likeness to what?
Likeness to loving. They were able to discuss everything,
including individual feeling.
If one loves one another by that means, they do not perish.
Jenny, or a wife's affection, being the history of later, and then marriage, and then travel, and then wishes, and then wishes, and then having had a house and a garden, having a house and a garden, and in a fish and chicken, and then as rich and more rich than could have been imagined, continue to engage herself to wool and fur.
Having had an interesting enough voyage to the home of her husband.
You write a book, and while you write it, you are ashamed, for everyone must think you're a silly or a crazy one. And yet you write it and you are ashamed. You know you will be laughed at. Then someone says yes to it. And then never again can you have completely such a feeling of being afraid and ashamed that you had then when you were writing.
She was telling about this thing, and many people were not listening.
Once, an angry man dragged his father along the ground through his own orchard. "Stop," said the groaning old man. "Stop. I did not drag my father beyond this tree." It is hard living down the tempers we are born with. Oh, we all begin well, for in our youth, there is nothing we are more intolerant of than our own sins writ large in others. And we fight them fiercely in ourselves. But we grow old, and we see that these are sins, of all sins, the really harmless ones to own. Nay, they give a charm to any character, and so our struggle with them dies away. I am writing for myself and strangers. I want readers, so strangers must do it. Mostly, no one knowing me can like it, that I love it, that everyone is a kind of men and women, that always I am looking and comparing and classifying of them, always I am seeing their repeating, always more and more. I love repeating. It may be irritating to hear from them, but always more and more I love it of them. More and more I love it of them, the being in them, the mixing in them, the repeating in them, the deciding, the kind of them everyone is who has human being. This is now a little of what I love and how I write it. Later, there will be much more of it.
She was telling about this thing, about being one, being living, telling about this thing with some distinction, and they were not listening.
When I finish a sketch, I pass it on to someone who receives it. Thank you for flattery.
Anybody can be touched by what they read. We are to be called the resident reader. You are cultivating your voice and other things needing cultivating. I commenced to teach myself to become an efficient typist on a worn-out little Blickensdorfer. I have a Gertrude Stein technique, like playing Bach. Try a play again. Every little play helps another play.
Thank you. Beautifully done. ending with a kiss. You know, what occurs to me, Melanie, is that it's, for some reason, people overdo Gertrude Stein's writing, and I believe them as they're speaking.
Yeah.
Very simple. And I think
Well,
Irving
that's
was always
lovely.
saying that too. When she spoke it, it was natural. But it was both by their acting chops, but also by the fact that they actually have a real relationship. There was, the theater is two things. It's artifice and the thing you can't fake. And if you're missing one of those two, you got a problem.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, Melanie, what was the process of producing this like, and what light can you shed on that? And sort of, because we are running long here, we skipped some of the information about the fact that it was a signature theater, et cetera, some of the voiceovers. So maybe you can fill us in a little bit on that too.
Sure. We did it at the Signature Theater that used to be on 42nd and 11th, because the Foundry never had a permanent space, intentionally never had a permanent space, because we never knew what kind of space we were going to need when we were making things until we made them. Mm-hmm. So we did it there. Tom, the Jim's partner, oh my God, I'm sorry, I forget the name of somebody I adore who's now passed. His first name is Tom. And he gave me the keys they'd never rented it before, and he gave me the keys.
That's right. Yeah.
And so we could make that whole lobby into remember we made the lobby but it wasn't there when people came in.
That's right.
Set it up when people came out, because I never like giving programs or anything. I don't like doing any grounding of anything before a show. I just want people to come into the show, have it, and then they get the program, and then they get more information about what they just saw, and they can fill it in that way. So we did it there. We made the lobby into, oh my God, you guys, I have to give you this. I have it, which is the printout of I have so many things left over from that lobby that I have to give you.
Oh my God.
Because I couldn't throw them away.
It's the story of my life. Yeah.
So the other thing it was just so much fun. I had so much fun producing it, because we also, if you remember, guys, we made that letter from Gertrude Stein.
Oh, that was that was so brilliant.
Oh my God, guys, this was before before we had websites, before anything, when we were still mailing pieces. And so we always wanted to think of what we were mailing out as the first act of whatever it was we were doing. And whether people came or not, it was a kind of an art object. So we did a lot of those kinds of things. But one of my most favorite was the Gertrude and Alice letter, because we wrote a letter from Gertrude to, hello, darling, we're coming to New York. And then the postcard for the show was on the back of a photograph. And it was, and it was in an airmail envelope. And in the corner, it said 23 Rue de Fleurus. Is that what it was?
Yes.
23 Rue de Fleurus. So people opened a letter from Gertrude Stein. Yeah. Of course, most people knew she was dead, but I want to tell you that people called us.
Yes.
I swear, I don't know how, it was more than 10 times that people called us. It was probably even more than I can dare to say, saying, oh, I got this letter from Gertrude Stein. Are you the ones who were doing the show? Oh my God.
We asked Gertrude to write.
And you know what? We sent out 50,000 pieces. Because in those days, we all used to swap email lists. We weren't so protective of everything. And so we got lots of different email lists, and we sent out 50,000 pieces, and we sold, this has never happened again after this. We sold most of, 2/3 of the show before the show happened. That's never did that ever happen again.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Ever. Oh. And after that, I thought, oh, this is how we can make sure, so when we did the broken tape cassette for Rindy's opera of the Moby Dick opera,
yeah.
I thought, oh, we're going to sell it out. It's such a good piece. It's a piece of art. It was a plastic bag with a broken tape cassette in it.
Right.
I won't go on and on, but I was sure that the same thing was going to happen as happened, and that's not even close. So there's that. The other thing I have to say, Lola, you provided me with a very, very important experience in my life, which was up until then, I wasn't using equity. I was paying people a really good living wage. It was part of the mission of the company that I was never going to do a show unless I could pay people. But I didn't have enough to both pay people and do health insurance. Okay. And so I hadn't had an equity. I had when we did the show in the Anchorage, I had a showcase contract, but I paid people off I paid people cash so that I could properly pay them. But you said to me, sitting in my office, you said, Mel, I need the health insurance.
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah,
Oh.
you did.
And it was so powerful, because why would I not want to give that to you? Do you know what I mean? Like, it was and then I realized, no, you can't ask people not to have health insurance. Like, I'm Canadian, so we were born with it. But I realized I was keeping people from their health insurance.
Or you could be helping them towards it.
And I never did that again.
Yeah.
Never. And it was because of you. And you were so kind about it. You weren't demanding, you weren't angry at me for not, you just said, oh, Mel, oh, it was incredible. And it changed me politically in a certain way. Not that I wasn't already lefty, but
God, you were the most left person I've ever.
Oh, please, nothing. I'm still a liberal in the minds of most lefties I know. So
lefties are going nuts.
But it was the opportunity to actually experience the meaning of taking care of people.
Yeah. You
just kind of go, oh, right. Why wasn't right? Duh. It was great. It was great. I remember that like yesterday.
I've forgotten, Melanie, that you didn't give out programs, and that idea about letting an audience go in fresh. And I think that's really remarkable, especially most producers are afraid of Gertrude Stein and would want to overburden the audience with sort of, it's going to be okay. We're going to hold your hand. Here's some information. Here's some biographical stuff. I love your notion of saying, no, just come in and have an experience and don't have anything in between you, not mediated. I think that's remarkable. I had forgotten.
Well, you guys made something that was so available and so moving and so beautiful. And it was beautiful. It was such a work of art. And I mean that visually and audially and then of course with the text.
Well, you've set this up beautifully. What we're going to do, I'm looking at the clock a little bit here. We're going to show some clips from it, and then we're going to come back. So Melody, don't go away. Melanie, stay, and everybody stay. And I hope that JoAnne and Clove can return. And let's just see a few clips, and then we'll all come back together.
But this work evolved into Gertrude and Alice, A Likeness to Loving, directed by Anne Bogart, produced with Melanie Joseph and the Foundry Theatre.
Gertrude and Alice was developed over a number of years as a project for Sang Froid Limited, encouraged by project dramaturgs, author, educator Ula E. Dido, and visual artist, performer Bill Rice, both deceased, focusing on the voices of Gertrude and her longtime companion Alice B. Toklas. The first public reading was a 15-minute segment of the text, presented in Dixon Place's Hot Festival in July 1996. Private readings commenced in Ula Dido's loft on East 1st Street, where Anne Bogart was introduced to the work.
More public and in-house readings followed at New York Theatre Workshop, Dartmouth College, Voice and Vision Theatre, at the Schoolhouse Center in Provincetown with the late Barbara Wise's support, at the Whitney Museum at Philip Morris in October 1998, and the Foundry at the Cherry Lane Theatre.
How do you very nearly do what you do mean to do? How do you very nearly do? How do you do?
There came to be a time then when answering was everything. Whatever she said was earnest and thoughtful and showed rare decision.
The wonder of it was that I have never been willing to remember that there could be any other door or doors, any other chair or chairs, any other. And they had asked, and this door, does it lead to the street or does it lead to another door? Is there another door there? We felt that we dwelt in marble halls and that we had no other plans.
And now for their thought.
They thought. Lily wet wild. This is so pink in stammer. A long bean which shows bows is collected by a single curly, shady, get, set, wet, bet.
Please be, get, please get wet, naturally.
Diamonds white, diamonds bright, diamonds in the light, diamonds light, diamonds door, diamonds hanging two before.
Two for all before. This being Leslie, almost our best. Willow vest, a green guest, go. Toasted Susie is my ice cream.
The work was rehearsed in St. Louis at Washington University and was performed as a work in progress at the Edison Theater there in February 1999 to commemorate Gertrude's 125th birthday.
The first full production of the work took place in New York City at the Old Signature Theater in June 1999, followed by touring engagements to Manchester, England's Queer Up North Festival in August 2000, the Walker Arts Center and Guthrie Theater in March of 2001, Middlebury College and the Hopkins Center at Dartmouth College in April 2001, and London's Drill Hall Theatre in November 2001.
Hi, Linda and Lola and everyone at La Mama.
It's Vicki Abrash.
And Bruce Allardyce.
Sending love. Linda and Lola, you are legends, together and apart.
Your accomplishments are ridiculous.
You're all that. Acting, directing, writing, producing, mentoring, inspiring, amazing.
And we are friends and fans and neighbors.
But mostly, we're glad that Linda and Lola are in the world.
Sending you big hugs and looking forward to the day when we can be together again.
We're back. Let's have everybody join who can. Linda, Lola, Melanie, Clove, JoAnne.
Yay.
JoAnne, I'm sorry.
Oh, honey, I'm sorry.
Wait, what are you?
I'm sorry.
What are you sorry about?
You don't have to be sorry about anything.
Just not appropriate behavior.
Oh, it was perfectly appropriate.
Sorry.
Perfectly appropriate.
Wait, what are we apologizing about? What is going on?
Forget it. Let's forget it. Let's forget it.
Happen. Have fun, kids. You know.
Oh, I think that's fantastic. Okay. Anyway.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Everybody's fine.
Melanie, I have to say, in watching the clip and that, without somebody bringing together the talents of the designers, making theaters bringing an audience in and having a vision, the glory of the piece would never have happened. It might have gone from loft to loft to little venue to venue, but to bring in the level of artists that you did, was really something extraordinary. And God bless producers. And I know you're not producing right now, but you have quite a history of producing. So.
Sound.
I also think there were two reasons I was attracted to it. One was I had to have a show because none of my shows were ready to put up. And the other was that I realized it was a special event.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really special event. These two performing those two with you directing and that set, are we kidding? Like it's a special event. Like if anybody else produced it and didn't know that, it would be shame on them.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
But you chose it. You said yes, Mel. Other producers, we know other producers, but you are the one. So thank you. It wouldn't have happened without you. We would have read it. We would have just read it on our circuit, that was nice, but no, we wouldn't have played internationally. That was you. That was all you.
Yeah, touring it was great, you guys. Touring it was fantastic.
Well, I still say 9/11 is what killed that. I think there was more touring in it, but everything just stopped at that point. And it was like one of those game changers.
I had a show at the airport going to Ireland
the
day that the towers were killed.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now, really moving that, I know you were trying to wrap up, that we're celebrating the anniversary, not celebrating, we're observing the anniversary of the pandemic, I think today or yesterday.
Yes.
When everything stopped again, except here we are continuing.
Right. Yes.
That's JoAnne, that's a gorgeous point, and it's something worth taking note of. And I wonder if Michal would come back and join us, because I know she's been fielding a lot of questions we don't have time to answer. But as she comes back, I wonder if Lola and Linda, you just were put through the ringer, and there were a lot of surprises in there for you. And I wonder if
they were glorious.
Thank you how do you know all of our favorite people besides the ones who were on the panel? I mean, thank you for that. It was really so. We were surprised.
We were.
Yes.
By everyone.
Michal, you're on mute. You have to unmute, Michal.
I said we have time. Go on. That's fine. We're not going to finish it now. We're going to finish when we're supposed to finish.
Perfect.
Don't worry about it.
Perfect.
All right.
But I wonder, actually, Michal, have you been fielding questions? Are there things you want to throw in? And anybody in our little Zoom room here can respond, and maybe we can have a conversation that way.
So far, I just see comments of people how they like it, but no questions.
Oh, we'd love to hear that.
But we have
so much.
I think we have
totally
before, and then we're gonna move to the comments. Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Didn't hear what we.
I said, let's move on to the few more things that we have, and then we'll take questions. So everybody, if you have any questions, please post them on Facebook and I'll forward them.
Great.
Yeah.
Linda, so I just to toss in two more stories of gratitude and thanks to you. I just wanted to first of all remind you of your bit of acting. I had just finished the Albee Fellowship, and the Performing Garage was letting me do my newest wackadoodle, a tour production, a murder mystery, and I don't know if you remember acting in it, but you were marvelous. And in one scene in particular, I think about it. When I think about it, I cringe in horror that I subjected you to such indulgence. But you were in an office scene. You were walking upright with a fairly heavy, as I remember, electric typewriter on your back while another actor typed, and another actor had the flashlight on it for the writer's, murder mystery moment. But you were such a great sport. And I don't know if we ever did that. I don't think we did it. I don't remember what happened, but we ended up not doing the play or whatever. But the other story, and of course everybody has wonderful stories of gratitude for your generosity. But one sweet moment that I have that I'd like to share is that we had gone to some production where there was a moment where they came to the audience to pull people on for a dance scene, and you were the first person pulled onto the stage. And the minute you got on the stage, you really dove right in, and soon you were swirling around on the dance floor, and it was pretty impressive, actually. And then others of us were grabbed, and a bunch of people were on the dance floor. And when it was over, I just came up and said, stupidly, I said, "Oh, fancy footwork." And you just said, "Well, you try to rise to the occasion for enforced entertainment." And I just thought, yeah, that's exactly what you did. And thank you for everything. And I'd like everyone here, the contributions you've made to all of us, and the generosity and support you've shown us all. Thank you, and best to you.
I'm in Minneapolis on the, as Lola would say, the Istanbul of the upper Mississippi. And I'm listening to the music of Philip Glass, Enchanted. And up from the stage of the Guthrie Theater rises Lola Pashalinski as Varda, the whore, the grand whore, in a dress whose skirt has to have been 3 meters in diameter. And I will never forget that moment. It's one of the great moments of Lola in the theater, in that magnificent production of The Screens, directed by JoAnne Akalaitis. I know Linda from New York City, where I moved in 1981. Lola had just completed doing the Cold, Lazy, and Elaine, directed by my dear love, Martin Warman. And Linda was doing street theater with Crystal Field and George Barteniev in Theater for the New City. And I joined up and did 2 years of street theater with Linda, and Lola and Linda became lifelong friends. And I've thrilled to see their theater over the years.
Hi everyone, what a wonderful opportunity it is for us to be here to give our love and honor to our beloved Linda and Lola. Linda has been Madam President of Youth Arts New York, founded by Robert in 2006. Linda has been our president. She has been the ground note for us to keep us in line, keep us organized. Always such an inspiration to be with and so much fun to be around. We love you, Madam President. We have, for those of you, outside the theater world, Madam President has been the shepherd of our project, where we've brought atomic bomb survivor witness to more than 40,000 New York City high school students. We've done work in the theater with Robert's wonderful love and stewardship of the arts and civics, and the students have been amazing. We were part of the team that won the Nobel Peace Prize, and Madam President was there with us. Hooray! Leading us. Hooray! Hooray! Congratulations to our beloved Linda and to Lola, for she is our First Lady because of Madam President.
Yes, we're celebrating our First Lady of the theater, First Lady of Youth Arts New York, and first in our hearts.
That's
Lola.
right.
Congratulations, Madam President.
To the Chapelinskis.
To the Chapelinskis.
We love you both. Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, that was another surprise.
There's the Chapelinskis. That's fantastic.
Yes.
That's a keeper,
Yes,
the
that's
Chapelinskis. Yeah.
That was with Robert Krugquist's name for us, that he's always
The
called.
Chapelinskis. That's great. I think we should all also toast you, and I think everybody on the various platforms.
I wish we could toast you.
Here,
Well,
I
we
have water.
Oh, I have
the Chapalinskis.
Thank you.
To the greatest of all theater women.
There we are. We're so lucky to know you all. Thank
Yes.
you.
Guys, for some reason, I lost the Facebook page, so this post is gone. I can't see any the questions or the comment.
All right.
Is it on chat?
Okay. So
It's not on chat.
No.
no, it's
Nice
not. It's
try.
supposed to be on Facebook, and for some reason, it's gone right now.
Oh,
You want me to check on the Facebook page from here?
You can. That's what I'm doing too right now.
But do you? I'll try.
You go on Facebook. That's supposed to be the streaming. The streaming is on a few different platforms. One of them is on Facebook, and for some reason, it's gone now.
Did Jamie Leo say enforced entertainment? Was that what he said?
Yes, I met Jamie. I was so surprised. And again, thank you, Michal, for gathering our friends together and the wonderful
There are
people.
more, but I didn't get the clips on time. But Kate was supposed, and Sarah Schulman wanted to send, but it didn't get them on time.
It was such a wonderful thing. I didn't expect it, but yes, way before I met Lola, when I was actually still pursuing acting as something I thought I was going to be doing on a regular basis, I did meet Jamie really early in the 70s. And I do remember that project. It never came to pass. I don't remember exactly what happened, but we've also known each other now all these beyond 40 years.
Yeah.
Can we speak a little bit about the old days?
Well,
that you talk about?
Linda was just reading a book about and including epigrams of Jack Smith. And he made a remark that is an epigram for the ages, for all time, for all artists. And I would like you to tell about it.
Let me set it up and then you do the line. Because you do the line. At any rate, it was a Jack Smith performance, and it was one of these. Jack Smith was they call him kind of the granddaddy of the ridiculous.
Of the avant-garde.
A genius. Everybody stole from Jack Smith. Andy Warhol stole from Jack Smith. John Bogart, Robert Wilson. He was there first. He was he made beautiful films, but he also made these theatrical events. And they were long, they were unpredictable. Sometimes they were planned and they didn't happen. But at one night, he was doing one of the things, what is it? The Lost Atlantis, something of the Lost Atlantis. Anyway, it was something that had gone on, and the actors had all been moved off. He had gotten all the actors off stage. They wanted to go home. It was in the wee hours of the morning. And he wanted to go home. They wanted to go home. And Jack got wind of this, and he wasn't ready for the show to be over yet. And he said, if you have nothing to do it on stage. See, you say it better than I did.
No, I didn't.
Right, at any rate. So for us, that is kind of that is
the watchword.
The takeaway.
The great takeaway.
Of the old days. You want to talk about the old days.
But there's another story that Lola told us about working with Jack Smith. About the day you all get high, you got high, and then
the one, and it never happened.
The one about, okay.
Yeah.
This is a great story.
A film that never happened.
A film that never happened.
Yes.
We were doing a Big Hotel. It was one of the first productions of the Ludlum's Ridiculous Theatrical Company. And Jack was in it. He was playing Mr. X, and I was his sidekick partner, Chocha Caliente. And he called Black-Eyed Susan up, who was in the play also, and said, would you like to come to my loft on a certain day. Actually, it was, well, she has to answer the door.
It's okay.
To come to my loft on, Saturday, come at 6, and I want to film a segment of Normal Love, the great mystery film that everybody had heard about but no one had seen, which starred Mario Montez and John Vaccaro and many other people who he had shot scenes of but never put it together. So oh God, yes, of course. And he wanted Charles and me too. So we went over at the appointed time, and he said, but before we shoot the scene, I want you to make your costumes. So I was supposed to be like a sarong, a Dorothy Lamour type in a sarong, an off-the-shoulder sarong. And there was a swath of fabric, and I had to put on a girdle, and that the fabric would be into, and then I was wrapped all around in it. But it took a very long time. It just wasn't happening quickly, because then Susan needed to be attended to. She had like a Spanish black thing with a great big tiara and a fan and all that sort of thing. And Charles had to paint the lobster costume that he was gonna, hello, everybody.
Whoa, we just disappeared.
I have to be on this program.
What happened?
It's not our fault.
It's not our fault, except I'm taking a long time to tell you.
That isn't what it was. Something else happened. No, it's all gone.
I don't know what Emil, but Bonnie just emailed me all the comments from Facebook, so she's managed to see them. So I'm gonna send it to you, Anne, okay?
Okay.
Okay, she said she emailed it to me. Well,
we have a black, the La Mama screen is gone, has disappeared from us.
They should have said something happened and it's not working.
I think it's disappeared from everybody.
Okay, thank you. Just so we know. Thank you. Okay.
Send me all the comments. So I'm gonna send it now to Anne. I sent you two emails, Anne.
Okay.
Actually 3.
Okay.
Who is in the door right now?
Oh, I think that's JoAnne's plumber.
No, this is mine plumber.
Oh, it's yours. Oh, okay.
I don't know, whatever minute to
Yeah,
get.
JoAnne was back and then she disappeared again.
There we are.
Oh, we're back.
Okay.
We were in the midst of Lola's great story.
Okay, so they're putting their makeup
they're putting
on.
their makeup on, and right, the makeup came last. And in the meantime, Charles is painting, he's sitting on his haunches, painting this lobster costume, which was a plastic shell, and it had 2 colors in it, a kind of yellowish red and a red, and and it was tedious work. And in the meantime, Jack would ply us with marijuana, very strong marijuana, and hours would go by, and 2 young people, a boy and a girl, came and brought us hashish, and they also, so we smoked the hashish, and then we were in a bog of ecstasy, and the boy and the girl gave a sort of dissertation on hashish and how great it was and all that. And then they disappeared. And then it was my turn to get into my costume. I was wrapped in my costume. I was in fuck me pumps, and I waddled over to the mirror, a giant mirror, like, a really good makeup mirror, and sat down, and Jack started to put my makeup on. And it was sort of like, when you think about it, Picasso doing your makeup, because he was a great artist. And he put on my makeup. He fixed my wig, which was Rita Hayworth red, you know, and great big high things, curls. And I looked at myself in the mirror, and I, little Regina Hirsch, had disappeared, and instead was this person I didn't recognize. Someone who looked like a cross between Rita Hayworth, because of the red wig, and Barbara Stanwyck. No, between Rita Hayworth and some other creature with a thin eyebrow and luscious red lips, and it wasn't me. And I looked in the mirror, and he looked his face next to me, and he said in his high voice, he always had that high tenor voice, and he said, "The wrong star is born."
And they never made the film.
No, and I was deep inside me, I was very hurt. But on the other hand, I had this story that was immortal in a certain way. The wrong star is born. And then, you know, Charles was in his lobster costume. Susan was in her Spanish dueña costume. And he told us that we could go home now, but take our costumes off and put them in the way that we would wear them, and that the next time we come, they'll be just ready to slip right in, and then we do the film. But he didn't happen to have any film today. He didn't have any film in the camera. He had no film in the house. So we had to go away. And one of my final remarks to him was, you know, I don't mind doing the long hours, because it had been 12 hours that we were there. And I said, but you know, if you just start earlier, it might be better. He put his hand to his mouth to cover his smiles and his laughter. Anyway, that's the story.
Lola, how old were you? How old were you?
Me? Gee, I was probably about 34 or so.
There's something existentially correct about that. The fact that there was no film in the camera.
Right.
There never was.
Now listen, I feel responsible for wrapping this up. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to read to you. Michal has sent me a number of comments and questions. I'm going to read them all that I have. And if anybody has anything to say about any of them, we'll do that. And then we are going to wrap it up. As much as Michal wants to go on for another 3 hours, which we clearly could, we're not going to.
Thank you, Anne.
Michael Verderber asks, who is one performer, living or dead, that you would like to perform with?
A dead performer, I wouldn't
ask. Could you tell us? That's funny already. Sally Wilson asks, could you tell a short anecdote of something that you remember or loved about Big John Brockmeyer? John was her uncle, she says here.
Oh.
Sally says, John Brockmeyer was my uncle. I was born in 1990 and shared a bed with him when he returned to Columbus, Ohio to die. I wish I knew more about Uncle John. Could you tell a short anecdote about something you remember or loved about Big John? No, but answer yet. I'm going on. Ralph Lewis says, started as an excerpt at Dixon Place. Can't count how many times those words have been spoken. Yeah, DP. Then we have Yelena Glusman, my dear friend from a long time ago. This blackout directed by Jack Smith from the Beyond. Oh, referring to the blackout we had, that was directed by Jack Smith.
Probably right.
It's very fine. Yeah.
Very good. Yes.
Yeah. And finally, Jackie Rudin says she fell in love with Lola when Bobby Beers took her to see Bluebeard.
Oh, yes, yes, Bobby. We should have Sally get in touch with us.
We watched it. Oh,
The Brockmeyer's niece.
Yes, about an anecdote about John. He was really a very elegant man. He had a taste for great wine. He was a great cook, and he was a great actor. He was a very funny actor, a very funny man, a slyly humorous man. And when he was playing Ma McCoy in Corn, he borrowed my bra, and one of my bras, and filled it with birdseed and wore it in the play. And he always said, Lola and I wear the same size bra. Is one of his. And of course, the story about that he calmed me down when I was paranoid about being replaced in a movie of Bluebeard. And he said, don't worry, Lola, there aren't any actresses in New York who are eager to sit on Charles's face. So that's one of his elegant remarks. And where is it?
I think Sally, Michal, maybe give Sally our email address.
I don't see it. I'm doing it through Bonnie. They're doing us a favor. I don't have it.
Well, if it gets back to her, we'd be very happy to be in contact with Sally.
Great, great. And
one thing, another little tale of Jack Smith is I ran into him on Houston Street one day, long ago, and it was in the summer and it was blistering hot. And so we were walking along for a while and he said, it wouldn't seem so hot if New York would plant palm trees all over the place, because then people would just see palm trees and expect it to be hot, And I thought there was utter wisdom in that remark, really.
I'm so glad that Jack Smith has come into this picture at the end of our time together. It's somehow appropriate, as you say. He started everything.
He did. Big influencer.
And I think that the best way to end is actually Lori Pritchard says, thank you, La Mama. Thank you, Linda and Lola. Thanks, Anne, Clove, JoAnne, and Melanie. What a stupendous history to be honored and celebrated. And there's some hearts and clapping hands after that.
Thank you. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Lori.
So I'd also say thank you to Michal for putting this whole thing together.
So beautiful.
Michal.
Thank you for your perseverance.
Yes, I hope it has satisfied you.
Next one is the theater.
I hope you're
going to be opening probably next month. So the second cycle is going to be over there.
Now she wants another one.
You want another one?
No, we talked about it already.
You
said you have to convince her. It will take time.
It will take time, yes.
I think whoever showed up to watch this has had more than enough of Pashalinski.
I definitely have a few more questions that I don't dare to ask right now, but I would love to ask.
We'll do it. We'll do another one. There are a lot of ways to go. We'll talk about it. We'll keep talking now that I've so enjoyed getting to know Michal through all of this.
Yes.
So now, and we're neighbors. So more to come. More to come.
And you, Anne, have been absolutely superb through this whole.
And thank you to everybody. Thank you to everybody who has joined us on the many platforms.
Yes.
And it's great to be in the room with you. Yeah.
Thank you, Pierce. Thank you, Pierce.
Thank you, Pierce. Yes.
Thank you, Pierce. Okay.
Bye-bye. We love you. We love you.